Index tokens in my wallet, yeah, they working while I sleep. Systematic strategies, got the yield running deep. Protocol so primitive, infrastructure built to last. Other DeFi projects looking motor in, how we pass. Liquidity provider network, check the architecture clean. Rebalancing automatic, smoothest operation scene. Don't need to watch the charts, algorithm.
Welcome, everyone. This is the first ever episode of the Hummingbot pod. This is Mike, and we have Fede. We're the maintainers of the Hummingbot open source framework, which helps you automate your crypto trading. So hopefully you can hear us. I think I can hear Fede. Hopefully Fede can hear me. And yeah, we're coming at you live from our respective home offices, if you will. I'm based in California, and Fede is based in Mar del Plata, Argentina. It looks like we have some people joining already. We have one person, so feel free to ask your questions here. We have a user who says, Hummingbot, is it possible to make a minimum of $100 in profit per day? Hey, Momento. So yeah, we actually get this question a lot. So we'll try to answer questions along the chat. But yeah, again, this is something that a lot of people ask when you start trading bots. I would say it's definitely possible. Like any kind of trading, your reward is tied to the level of risk you take. So you can have $1 million, run a very safe strategy and make $100 a day. But if you're starting with, let's say, $1,000 and you want to make $100 a day, then you should take a lot of risk in order to do that. That's one thing that we try to teach people in our, we also have the educational platform attached to Hummingbot that uses the open source framework to teach algo trading, market making. And one of the principles we try to teach people in Botcamp is that trading is not a black box. It's not just something where you stick your money in and money comes out the other side. There's kind of art and science to creating a proper trading strategy. Anyway, I want to give Fede a chance to introduce himself as well, because he'll be the main screen sharer today. But yeah, Fede, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Fede. I'm from Argentina. I'm the CTO of Hummingbot. I'm really excited about what is happening right now on the AI landscape. It's really interesting. Every day a new thing comes. So it's really nice to be alive in this moment of on the planet Earth. Today we will see some of the advances that we were doing on our trading agent. We really think that it should be a specific framework that lets you do agentic trading rather than a general one. So that's what we are trying to build. We are constantly reviewing all the different solutions that are out there, trying to create the best one that we can. We think that we are in a very good path. We are finally creating our first agents. I'm really excited about being here, and obviously that we are in a position that we will try to learn as much as we can with you guys, with your feedback, and trying to improve it every day. Every day it goes better and better.
Yeah, I apologize. I was a bit remiss in not explaining what this is. So we've actually been doing this weekly live stream here at Hummingbot for many years now, even since before the pandemic. But I think that now that we're kind of starting to really build a lot at the intersection of AI and crypto trading, we think this is a subject that a lot of people are interested in understanding how to build and how to create agents. So we're going to turn this into a weekly kind of podcast, if you will, where we'll do like a 1 hour demo of what we're working on, try to demo some agents running in the wild built using the framework that we have. And we'll also try to explain some theory in terms of why these agents are built the way they are, so you can learn how to build your agents for yourself as well. But I think these kind of sessions, we focus primarily in technical demos. But we'll try to, because of AI, it really lowers the barrier of entry. So before, people used to have to be able to write a lot of Python code in order to create a proper sophisticated market making strategy, let's say, running in a framework like Hummingbot. But today, you can just talk to your agent. Your agent can build in any type of custom rules or interact on different types of exchanges. And I think having a structure like the one that we're going to show you will make that process a lot easier, a lot scalable, and a lot more reliable, which is, at the end of the day, what you want from your agent. All right, so it's good to demo everyone, but yeah, so we'll try to keep this short. We'll try to keep it under 1 hour, and also leave some time for the audience to come on, ask questions, and maybe even demo what you're building. with Hummingbot as well. Overall, Hummingbot has been around for a few years now. It's one of the kind of open source frameworks that many individual algo traders, as well as trading firms, use in crypto. And the reason they use it is because it has integrations to many different types of exchanges, both centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, and even blockchain networks like Solana and Ethereum. So what it means is you can write one type of strategy, like market making, and have it run the same strategy on many different venues, and even do cross-exchange, cross-venue market making, arbitrage, and trading. But so I think Hummingbot is a great kind of execution layer. It can execute strategies on lots of different exchanges reliably and in a standardized way. But now with the power of LLMs, you can have this really intelligent model helping you make decisions, collecting data from the market, and helping you run the strategies even better. So that's why I think the power, the potential of these agents are, especially if you think about what if the agents you can have some agents doing research, doing simulations, other ones doing trading, have them interact. So I think there's a lot of potential in applying kind of the agents to trading. But how do you make it all work together? That's the question, because it's easy to create a simple demo. But as we all know, as I think most kind of algo traders and market makers know, if you really want to make money over the long term, you have to build a systematic approach where you can calculate P&L accurately across different exchanges. You have to have the agent actually learn from what it's doing systematically. It's like, especially if you think about if you want to run 100 agents. How does all those agents operate both independently but also work together? So these are questions that we think about when it comes to applying AI to algo trading. So that's where I think that's kind of why we started to create our own agent framework in terms of both a standard for defining what a trading agent is, as well as a harness, this system that can help you create and build and run these trading agents. So that's what we're going to demo today. Basically, just if you think about, we built this system called Condor, which is in terms of setup very similar to OpenClaw. It's an agentic harness. It runs on a server like a Mac Mini, your local machine, or on a cloud server. But what it does is it talks to both the LLMs like Claude or Codex, and it also does other tasks for you. So OpenClaw is really focused on general productivity tasks like manage your email, for instance. Whereas Condor, it's focused on trading tasks. So collecting data from different exchanges, executing trades on those exchanges. But it also talks to the LLM as well. So that's why I think that this idea of a harness, which is the system that helps you accomplish something using these LLMs, is really powerful. OpenClaw obviously has taken off, but we think there's room in the market for many other types of harnesses that are focused around doing certain tasks. Because if you're doing trading tasks, you may not want the kind of like the open, possibly insecure mode of doing things the way the OpenClaw does. Maybe you want something where the trade execution is separated from the agentic layer, which is how Condor is structured. So yeah, that's kind of like I just want to give you some rationale for what we're building, give you a concept for this idea of the harness, which is how we define what we're building in Condor, and this trading agent standard that we'll be showing. Okay, so enough intro. Let me hand it over to Fede, who's going to walk you through the structure of what we're building, and then basically just demo what a trading agent actually looks like.
Yeah, I think that we can start with a simple demonstration or a simple like intuition about what we're going to talk about, mainly like conceptually to explain all the people what is the infrastructure that is going to run. But basically talking about like algo trading, like we have been doing this for a long time already. And usually what you have here is a strategy that you want to run, or actually you want to run a set of strategies, strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3, strategy 4, whatever. But there is always like a normal process, depending that I would talk like the simplest one, like the simplest structure that is like you will have at some point market data, This market data can be anything, can be OHLCs, order book, trades, funding rates, also economics, token and logs, any data that you want to incorporate. And you also have, after that, execution decisions, let's call it, that you need to take. So basically, normal like strategy starts here, and the normal process is that it will gather market data from one side, from the other side will analyze current analysis with this, right? Current execution data or trading data, let's call it, or trading execution data. This is, for example, did my strategy create an order before? Did my strategy has a position? All that information that you want to know before taking the next decision. So once you do this, that can be done in parallel, then you end up to a point where your strategy finally will get these two things and will decide, what should I do? What should I do? And then here you have an option, like three potential outcomes that can be do nothing, because either there is an active action that I want to keep, stop something, stop an execution, or stop, we call it executors, but I'm talking more general, stop this position, and can be like create this order, create this position. So basically you can do a bunch of different things once you understand what is the current state of the market and what is your current execution data, right? Basically, it's the simplest thing as you can think an algo trading strategy. You will have these two sources, the public data, your private data, and based on that, you will take a decision, right? The point here is that, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and just to kind of whatever this one kind of, this is what we call a tick. So this is kind of like one turn of the agent, so to speak. I think that if you do some kind of evaluation on kind of like how models work, a lot of times like there's a concept of turn, which is something you give to the model and then you get something back. And so basically, similarly in trading in Hummingbot, with the concept of a tick. And so this is kind of like something that's going to happen in a loop every defined time interval.
Yeah. So you brought, as Mike says, you will loop this over and over again. And in what should I do is basically your strategy, right? So what happens? We want to make this agentic, right? That's like what we're trying to do. The normal frameworks that you will probably see there will let you like place an order, will let you get data from different sources, but as a structure, unstructured, usually they're really unstructured. And what's the problem of that? First of all, it's really difficult to make your agent consistent and make that your agent does not do like random things on your account, because it can probably start trading with more money that he wants, start trading with wrong information, start trading or gets stuck in a loop until that's the action that you want. So you want to make it a little bit more deterministic at some point, and also under certain framework where the agent knows that there are certain decisions that he can take. It's not like the Wild West and he can do whatever he wants. That's why we have the concept that is also part of our framework of executors, that this is really good, not only for structuring the work, but also, for example, because if you expect that the agent will place orders, buy and sell orders, that would be very like mid-frequency. And there are executors like the grid, where the execution will be delegated to this object from the agent, and the grid will be like high frequency, right? So there is a good mix there that you can use with executors. Plus, the other important thing is that if you work under the concept of the executors in our Hummingbot framework, all the actions that an agent takes are completely isolated from the actions of your main account or the actions of other agents. So each agent will have his own sense of, okay, this is my executor, this is my action. So the executors will help us in two senses. One, structuring the work and avoid having a lot of errors, that if you send an order and starts failing, you probably don't know why. The agent will start looping, understanding why it's failing, all that stuff. And the executor has that solved already. For example, if you don't have balance, it will tell you insufficient balance. And that is standardized for the plus 40 connectors that we have. So there is a big advantage about using this instead of using a non-structured system.
Yeah.
And the second one is isolation. Go ahead.
I just want to add on to what Fede mentioned. Basically, so yeah, the first real advantage is standardization. As you mentioned, Hummingbot has connectors to over 50 different types of connectors. So a connector might be a centralized exchange like Binance, a decentralized exchange like Hyperliquid, or let's say even like Solana. But what the executor gives you is, if you say, I want to swap, or I want to trade, let's say 0.1 Solana and sell it, you can do that as a market order on Binance, or you can do it as a swap on Solana, and it'll execute the same way, and will give you the same results in both times. So that type of standardization allows the agent to basically not have to worry about the details of how to call the Binance API versus, let's say, the Jupiter API on Solana, for example. And what it gives you is, once you calculate the P&L and everything, the effect of that trade is isolated to this executor. So this is, I would say, that's kind of like, this is actually what, in our view, allows you to actually run lots of different agents with lots of different things and have them act in a standardized way.
Yeah. So based on all these things, we decided to build the best agentic trading framework that I'm going to explain a little bit. We expect that it's going to be the best, but it's like this. We define a trading agent. Basically, there is like a lot of things around like how the agents work and all that stuff that you can research online, but in a simple way to explain to you is like, you will need to construct like the context of the agent, and the context will be just the text that you will put at first of the agent before it starts doing anything. Let's call it the prompt, right? So basically it will be like an LLM that will loop if it needs to call a tool, because the response of the LLM is call this tool. It will execute that code, come back to LLM again, and continue looping until it finishes what he wants to do, right? So that instruction or that prompt that we need to build is composed of different things that we can see here. First, we have a general agent system prompt that is basically that we are going to tell that it's a trading agent, that we will tell that he needs to do certain actions, but it's general for all the different trading agents, no matter the strategy, is this part. Then we will have a specific agent.md that will be the actual strategy or the actual logic that the agent will look for. We'll have the journal. The journal will be like, actually it's a journal that the agent has for the session, so he knows what he did in the past in that specific trading session. It has a learnings that is more like a high-level learnings file across the different trading sessions that the agent had. Now we're going to see a little bit more about that, because the same agent can be deployed in different trading sessions. So you can say, I will create a scalper agent and I will deploy it on this market. That is a session. I will deploy it now in another market. That's another session. You will also have in the prompt what routines are available. Now we're going to talk a little about our routines, but spoiler, they are just Python files with code that the agent can call. It's like a script, but we call it routines because in the rest of Condor, this can be automated in a loop. And also we'll see what tools are available to use and what are the active executors and positions that he has available to use. So this is basically the prompt. So our trading agent will be started with this prompt, will work until it decides, should I create something? Should I stop something that I have running? And so if we see a little bit the file structure, for example, this agent scalper is an example. This here is the agent.md that I was talking about. The learnings.md is also a top level file. So we have the agent.md, the learnings.md. We have a folder with the different routines that this can be process a candle and add indicators. This can be process a news, and whatever routine you might want to create. And also we will have a folder with all the trading sessions. Each trading session will have a journal.md where the agent will be logging everything that he is doing. And we will have a folder with the snapshots where we are going to store everything. Like we're going to store the prompt that we passed into the agent. So then you can debug, okay, what happens if in the prompt disappears? And also all the reasoning of the agent, and finally the actions that he took. So this is really nice for debugging then and to understand what your agent was actually doing.
Right.
And also, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so can you explain again, why is learnings MD at the top level?
Yeah, that's a very good question. This learnings MD is a top level thing because it consolidates the learnings across all the different training sessions. When a training session ends, or when something from the training session, the agent detects, okay, this is something really important to consider for other sessions, it will log it there. A common error or how to configure a certain thing or whatever, it will be like a way to have more like a long-term memory for the agent that can be persisted across different training sessions. And in the journal is where we are going to have the, it will be like the training session memory. It will be more like the specific training session memory that it has.
So the journal is specific to a session.
Yes.
But the learnings like it encapsulates what it kind of learn across these different sessions. Like
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Is to make long-term improvement of the agent down the road.
Okay.
And then this agent, I designed in a way where there are 3 run modes, mostly for debugging purposes, because what I found is that I don't want to put an agent to trade without understanding first what is the actual reasoning that he is having. So the first run mode that we have is a dry run. Basically, with the dry run, the agent gets injected into the prompt that he can't use the tools of executors to create them. What we are going to see here is more like how he gathers all the market data that the strategy needs and how he reasons about it and what decision he will take. So usually you will see then in the output that will create this grid, but as it's running in dry mode, he didn't create it. Then we have the run once mode, that is before you put it into the loop, you try it out once to see what is the actual output that he's having. And then we have the loop, that is basically the end state of when your agent is trading live, that he will be executing this code every X amount of time that you can define as a frequency. Let's say every 60 seconds, it will be executed, okay? So here are some definitions about the things that I have been talking about. Routines. Python files that usually uses the Hummingbot API or any external source, but in a deterministic way, so the LLM work is reduced. All this that I'm showing here is because I have been testing this by myself, and I ended up reducing the session from 2 minutes of reasoning to 50 seconds. And I'm planning to do it even more. But what I found was that, okay, why I need a routine if the agent can get the candles? Because the agent can get the candles. But then I found that the agent was creating Python code to process the candles during the session. So then I said, no, I can't allow this, because if the Python code can be created by the agent, I should encapsulate it in a way that he can reuse it and don't spend tokens on this. So there is a Python, sorry, there is like an improvement of moving this into Python files rather than just letting the LLM process in an unstructured way. Then we have the agent.md that is basically, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I see a question in the chat. So I just want to I address it before we move on a little bit. I think someone asked why Python and not Rust or C for performance. So first, we're always constantly improving the Hummingbot framework. So there is a chance we actually might move certain components into Rust. A lot of the underlying framework from an execution and data collection perspective is already in C because it's using Python. But the real reason we use Python for a lot of the strategy layer in the UI layer is because when you're doing trading, it's right where you're creating trading agents. The really expensive activity is at the network layer. So when you're sending a trade to the blockchain or to an exchange, getting it back from the actual internet, or when you're talking to the LLM, when you send a prompt to the LLM and then you wait for the model to come back. So overall, when you're building any type of system, you always want to focus on reducing the biggest bottlenecks in the system. And so whether you use Python or C is actually not even close to the biggest bottleneck in the system. But what Fede is talking about right now, what he just talked about in terms of the routines, we actually think that's the biggest bottleneck in the system. Because if we design any type of agent and actually try to do this with, let's say, OpenClaw and Claude directly, what you'll find is that the agent is wasting a lot of tokens and time on processing data and turning it into some piece of logic, it's an indicator or some post-processed piece of information that it can actually use. So what Fede is talking about in different routines is we found is actually really important, because if you spend the time up front to build a structured process to process data, then it's much easier for your AI model to work with the output. So that's actually also another reason why we call these routines and not skills, because they're not designed to be unstructured and have it be used by the LM. They're designed to be deterministic and process data in a certain way.
Yeah, I will add that, like, for the agent framework, doesn't make sense at all to do it like in Rust or C, because there is no expensive computation on that part of the system. For Hummingbot, as Mike mentioned, the core is in Python, so the core is quite fast already. Personally, I think that once you trade a little bit, for example, let's see BTC. So sorry, they were talking and I don't want interruptions. So let's see, for example, Bitcoin. This is like 1 second candles of Bitcoin. So when the people talks about like performance, is yeah, let's see that you can be 1 millisecond faster. Tell me like what's the alpha that you can get of being like 1 millisecond faster for the strategy that you want to do. Like the only reason why it can be faster is, or the only place that makes sense is, for me, if you are doing an arbitrage, for example, or I don't know, something like really HFT, that you need to have a very good reason to say, no, I need this, because if not, it's like, I'm seeing like 1 second candles here, and this, let's say there is a big move up to here, is 0.09% the move that we can expect. So for me, there is the speed is important for all these types of strategies of arbitrage and all that stuff, but there is bigger the myth about that, about the execution is the king. Why I think that the king is the strategy itself, or how you manage the risk, or how you expose your strategy. There is no, for me, oh no, if you are like 10 milliseconds slower, you're going to lose all the money. That's completely true and completely like bullshit on people saying on Twitter that is, I have been showing this for I don't know how many seconds already. There is no thing that I can capture faster. For me, it's much more important how the strategy logic works rather than that. At least for the level that we are, individuals or small firms, like the strategy, risk management, all that stuff is way more important than speed. Either way, as Mike mentioned, we will always try to improve and have the best system. We will try to get the fastest bot over there. I'm actually doing already some experiments with a fully Rust system that is this Hermes. I have been running it for a while already. And as you can see, we are building it from the ground up to have completely performance monitoring for all the actions that we have, completely rebuilt the connection system, the WebSocket pools, the HTTP pools. We already have the latency analysis. We are under 0.1 millisecond. I don't know if you can see it here. We are under 0.1 milliseconds of processing messages. See the network latency that is, as Mike said, is 200 milliseconds. Obviously that I am in Argentina, so it will be higher than if I put this server in Tokyo. But the interesting thing is this speed that we can get with Rust, that we'll probably build it and soon make a transition Hummingbot to be like the fastest framework that you can see out there. But for now, it's like we think that it's much more worth to focus on the agent part rather than this part right now. And also, like in terms of design, I'm very proud. Like I'm working on this like for quite a few time already, but this TUI is completely like decoupled from the actual engine, and there is like all the communication between the TUI and the engine is actually via socket. So it's quite fast. I was impressed on the thing, and obviously like you cannot hear BTC, USDC, let's say. You can add a new source here, and suddenly you will see that there is a new subscription into the WebSocket. Then we will start seeing the trades like flowing here. So I really this experiment that I'm doing to validate, okay, how much better we can make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah. Overall, Hummingbot, we view open source as basically it's kind of there's different modules here. Yeah. So the execution and the data collection right now is Hummingbot, but in the future, Hummingbot layer can also get better. But I was going to say, yeah, we think the most important part to build on right now is this agent layer, because having a structure for how you define the agent and build it is really important. Yeah, maybe do you want to explain the other two parts of this?
Yeah. Then the training session, as I mentioned, you have the journal, all that stuff, and the learnings that will be like across all the sessions will be like managed, and then all the MCP tools that we have available for creating your training agent. We're creating a specific agent builder that basically has the first part. It will help you like creating a strategy design. Now we're going to do one. Then we will need to work with what market data you want to use and process it, how you want to process it, a lot of stuff. Then you will see the strategy logic definition is how you're going to use that data to trade. And then you will test the agent in dry run, and then you will test it in run once, and finally you're going to deploy the agent live with looping. It's time to stop talking and start showing. For that, I will restart this. I hope that I don't break the MCP because I just introduced a change for the server usage. But the repo is the same repo that we have been talking about. Hummingbot Condor, you help us a lot with the stars. If you put stars here to the repo, will be actually I need to start it. I was asking for the stars and I didn't start it. But this is like the main entry point right now for this. With this, you will be deploying the Hummingbot API also that will run in your machine. The Hummingbot API will let you deploy bots, deploy executors, like a lot of things. Once you run make run, I have the make run here. Also, another thing that I didn't mention, just if you run make, it got stuck. Yeah, it's running here. You can run make run and it will be really nice. I have been testing. I'm doing benchmark with the model Q1. It's actually quite good. Soon we are going to start adding support for open source models, but for now we're focusing on Claude. This is the agent that the first thing that you need to do is to go bot further. I will clean the conversation so you can.
Yeah, basically, as Fede said about, I'll just explain a bit the structure of how Condor works. If you're familiar with setting up OpenClaw, you should be pretty familiar with setting up a Condor as well. Basically, a lot of people use OpenClaw with Telegram. And so when you use OpenClaw with Telegram, the first thing you do is you create a Telegram bot that you use to talk to OpenClaw. So it's the same thing with Condor. You go to the Bot Father Telegram app, and that will walk you through the process of creating a bot. It'll give you a token, and then you basically just need the token and your user ID, which there's also another bot where you get the user ID. So once you have your bot token and the user ID, enter it into Condor. I think there's still like the setup process where it walks you through setting the Hummingbot admin password, admin login password, and the Condor bot token and user ID for Condor. So basically, I think once you put those things in after the installation process, then you can just start opening your bot and start talking to Condor, which is, I think, very similar to how you talk to OpenClaw. Yeah.
It's mostly the same. But yeah. So, well, first, there is a big difference. Like, you can also start instead of talking with or creating a trading agent. I would recommend you to start playing around just with Condor, because there is like a lot of. Sorry, I thought that I bought some FDUSD. Let me see, FDUSD. Oh, let me sell so we can start here. Let me sell it here. Okay. So basically, you can start like playing around just with Condor. That it will give you like a lot of. Sorry, I think that I placed this sell. Oh no, sorry, buy. Okay. Okay, you can just start talking with Condor directly instead of creating a train agent. If you talk with Condor, you can say, hi, what's my balance in Binance? Basically, before you will need to connect your keys and all that stuff. That's the first thing. But basically, once it has tools that uses Hummingbot MCP under the hood, and will help you like understanding what's your balance on different assets on Binance, for example. I have the positions that I have in Perpetual as well. All this is like everything that you can do with directly with Condor. Also can execute routines directly that are like code that you probably want to do. For example, I can say, what routines do we have to process market data? I am interested in understanding BTC FDUSD. So it will see if it has a routine or not, or it will just get the candles and analyze the market for you. There is a problem sometimes with getting the candles because it's a lot of data, and probably in the context you are putting a lot of things in the context. You see here, there is a routine that is technical analysis, analyze trend, volatility. It says EMA aligned, fast, higher than mid, higher than slow, this EMA, this bull, okay. Key support levels, key resistance, grid suggestion. It's suggesting a grid. I would say, can you deploy a grid executor with 300 FDUSD? And it will tell me, okay, I will create a proposal. Basically, these routines are really interesting because you can encapsulate some market data analysis that you want and trigger it on a specific market. Once you are like confident with analysis, you can reproduce it on any market. Imagine for point farming can be really cool. If you are doing points farming on Hyperliquid and you want to analyze some volatile markets and just deploy a grid with a directional bias and farm points while you are trading, that's something that you can definitely do with Hummingbot right away. It says grid deployed. Let's see if it's true. Yeah, it's true. So here is the grid deployed. It's not if you are aware about Hummingbot, it's not like a normal grid. It has some parameters like order frequency, max open orders. That's why you are not seeing all the orders at once. It's a little bit smarter. But as you can see, I told it like, do this for me, and he was able to connect with everything that he needs to create the order, right? This is one thing, right? Now let's see that let's say that you are not confident that what is happening with your account here, or you don't understand what are the active actions that you are taking, you can always use the executors command here, and you can see the active executors. You can see that you have a grid here, the volume that it traded, all that stuff. You can see also the history. But let's say that you want to have a better view, you can always use the web view. If you run command web, it will open this website where you can go here, paste the link. This is something that you can override in the config in case that you have a DNS, or in case that you have a custom, let's say that you have a custom port that you are deploying the dashboard, or a custom IP address if you are deploying a VPS, that will be also available. Here you have the same dashboard. You can see the composition of assets over time, all the tokens that we have. And in this tab of executors, we can see the grid that we just deployed. We can see the position hold that we have, and the different, like, by different controllers, you can analyze the grids to see, or the executors based on the different controllers. So, well, that's basically a little bit about the UI. From the UI itself, you can also deploy grids. For example, from here, we can pick in Binance, let's pick Sol FD USD, and you can say, okay, I want to deploy a grid on Sol now. With autofill, it will suggest some values, but you can always override them by saying, I want to put the grid between here and deploy 100 USDT, give the position, create grid executor. It says grid executor created. Now you can see the two grids here, and it should be placed in orders in Sol 2. So as you can see, it's also trading on. So all this is the interface that we are working on to make this easy accessible. Remember that this is all open source. It's all free. You don't need to pay to use it. Like, I think that is very worth to try this as a baseline to have it. So, well, now let's continue. Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say something because I want to. So before, so now we're going to transition in the last part of the demo. We'll actually create a proper agent, which you can see in the agents tab as well. But a couple of things before we move to that. The first is that for those of you in Hummingbot, the web interface for Condor is what we think the dashboard replacement will be. So a lot of people in the audience have asked us to work on the dashboard, which is the kind of the front end graphical interface for Hummingbot API. So what we decided to do is take an AI first approach. This is why we built Condor and make sure it worked in Telegram first. And now you can basically, with this web view, is basically what we'll focus on building out and making sure it can do both what dashboard can do, but also run agents as well. The other design choice we made is to have it, you still use Telegram as to authenticate into Telegram, and then you create this web view, and the API, basically the token you pass in is encrypted with your Telegram credentials. So that's actually what allows you to basically, for example, you could access this from anywhere. You can basically host it on a web server, put it on the dashboard, and you can still access it from Telegram because you don't need to expose like an admin credentials and have a whole auth system just for the dashboard. Yeah. Oh, and also very important. Before we move on, I just want to say we're sponsored by Botcamp, which is also the educational company that Fede and I run that uses the open source Hummingbot framework to teach people market making, algo trading, and also how to make that agentic and use AI in trading. With our next cohort, we do 2 cohorts of Botcamp per year. Each one is a 4-week online boot camp where we teach people the principles of market making from a theory perspective. We teach them the different types of algo trading strategies. But the reason we focus on market making is because overall, that's one way to make money by doing algo trading, especially in crypto. But for the next one, we're actually doing something quite special and quite new, which is we're going to have a AI trading competition at the end of the next cohort. Because in the next cohort, you will actually learn how to create proper agentic strategies. You'll learn the theory behind these different algo trading strategies, and then you'll learn how to build them into AI trading agents and run them using Condor. So we'll cap off the next cohort with a trading competition that's open to both the cohort members and also any other previous Botcamp members, where they can run their AI agent strategies and compete for prizes from our sponsors. So we have about $13,000 already. It says 10,000 on our website, but we just got a new sponsor recently. And these sponsors are crypto exchanges as well as crypto funds as well, who might be looking to hire folks who want to participate. But we have a QR code that you can scan for Botcamp Cohort 13 in the upper right. And there's also the info code that I want to make sure everyone, the discount code that I want to make sure everyone has access to. So if you type in SESH25, you'll get a 25% off Botcamp, off the regular price of, and I think it's a pretty big discount. But once again, the discount code is INFOSESH, INFOSESH25. So when you check out Stripe, there's a little box where you can add that as the promo code, and it'll give you 25% off the next cohort, which includes both 3 weeks of instruction that will help you build your own customized AI trading strategy, and includes entry in the trading competition. Okay, yeah. So that's the sponsor. Actually, you can go to the Botcamp website. I just want to show people the schedule for the cohort. Go to cohorts and competitions. Yeah, that one. Yeah, or other one. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, we need to work on our website a little bit. There's a database issue that I probably need to fix. But yeah, if you scroll down a bit, I just want to show people the schedule for the cohort in terms of when it starts and also when it starts. So it's going to start in April. The first week starts on April 21st. And the first week, basically we have 4 sessions per week. The first 4 sessions are designed to give people from both a theory and a technical perspective, an understanding of how to do the algo trading session, basically do algo trading from a theory perspective, and also use Hummingbot to create trading strategies using it. And then we also do a deeper dive into market making, because I think with market making, one reason why people use it is because both exchanges and token issuers provide rewards for market making. So if you understand market making, how to do it across the crypto landscape, it's easier to make money because you have this additional source of incentives and value coming in the form of liquidity rewards. In the second week, we'll get deeper into understanding the differences between different market making strategies, whether it's on-chain or off-chain, as well as getting into kind of how do you actually make these strategies more agentic. So we'll learn about like the different harnesses that are available, why Condor is structured the way it is versus other ones like OpenClaw. And then finally, in week 3, we'll actually get into the agent part of it. Well, we'll talk about the structure of a trading agent and how to build like multiple trading agents that I guess we're calling swarms that are coordinating with each other, or each one both isolated, acting on its own slice of the portfolio, but also learning from each other. And then the final part of it is we'll help everyone with office hours. We actually cap this cohort at 35 participants, and I think it's about half filled right now. So I encourage you to sign up if you're interested. But we do cap it because we're trying to help everyone build their strategies. And then finally, the last week is when we have the agent trading competition. So yeah, one question from the audience. Yeah, John says, I can't afford the cohort right now, but I'm very interested in the AI trading competition. Yeah, thank you very much. I think for the future, we are going to open it up and try to make these public. But because it's the first time we're doing it, we want to make sure we're properly reviewing each one. And so that's why we're opening up only for the Botcamp members. Yeah, this is actually the price for Botcamp members. So if you're actually an existing Botcamp member, there's actually we discount the price significantly. I actually do think we might create some type of kind of a scholarship to the cohort and to the competition, but we want to try to have people earn the scholarship, so to speak. So I think we'll post some details about how you can apply for a scholarship by like maybe helping us do something on Twitter. But overall, we do want to, we would kind of make some room for a couple scholarships and try to give them to people in the community who can earn them.
Yeah. I want to jump. Thank you, Mike, for the presentation of the Botcamp. I think that was quite insightful. Now I want to show the last part. I will probably not deploy it live. I will just show the dry run mode and the other stuff. But I will show just a sneak peek of what you can build now with Agent Builder. Before going there, I would say to Condor, what executors are running, and then I will tell Condor to stop them so we can start fresh. As you can see, it has all the information that we can see here in the website, so it's good. And actually, I ended up liking much more having the chat way rather than the other one. For the other question for Defeat, thank you that you like the UI. Finally, we made it in React as you wanted. For shows Celis, I would say we are not supporting only OpenAI. We support Cloud Code, Gemini, OpenAI, and soon I will add the Open Code, or just directly Olama with an internal logic, because the idea is that now with the open models and everything, I think that for our bot, we can run it with a QN 3.5 with 7 billion parameters. It will be really easy to run it. So I think that anyone will be able to run it with private models soon. But as we want to make some knowledge generation about how this system works, it's better to start with the better models, with bad models. So we have the benchmark of what is a good agent. Then I would say stop the grids, and he will stop these executors. So we stop placing orders, and now we're going to move to the actual trading agent design very briefly. So, well, to go to the agent builder, you need to go to agent. We need to switch agent. Here says mode Condor. We need to switch the agent mode to agent builder. It will start the new session. Great thing about this is you don't need to pay for API API key besides your current subscription, because we are using the ACP protocol as said industries released. So with your Cloud Code subscription or Codex, it will work. Let me see again. This is probably what I said that I probably killed. Let me see. Destroy agent session. Okay, started. Okay, I will tell to the agent, I will show you like a flow of how this works. I will tell I want to create a trading strategy. I want to create a trading agent, and the agent builder will guide me through all these things. Phase 1, strategy design. What do you want to do? Grid trading, DCA, scalping perps with type stops. You want to do scalping perps, guys? Let's do some addition stuff. Scalping perps with type stops. Then it will tell me like, okay, what market you want to do. Let's go with some addition stuff, and let's search for, I don't know, something here like this AIoT. This seems has a lot of volatility, so let's pick this one. This is interesting because what exchange you want to use is it can be a placeholder, and then based on the trading context, it will pick a different one. But let's pick this one. Let's tell I want to trade on Binance Perpetual on AIoT USDT.
Sorry, Fede, really new question, but you said when you say scalping, can you maybe define what that means?
Yeah, basically with some trade analysis, we're going to place long and short trades to trade the ups and downs that the market will have. I would say I want to trade Binance on IoT USDT, and I want to create a routine that helps me identify where these levels of interest are. I would like to use 1 minute candles. Let's say that I want to use 1 minute candles, will be something like this. 1 minute candles. 1 minute candles, and look for support and resistance levels plus the EMAs of, I don't know, 7, 25, and 99. So this agent builder will go and understand what I'm trying to do. Will probably, these are the things that we can specify a little bit more, like the take profit and all that stuff. But for now, let's keep it as it is. Yes, feels right. Now, once it's finished, I will show you what the structure that the agent is going to create. It will say position size, how much USDT per trade, 25 USDT per trade, stop loss 5%, max concurrent positions 3, max drawdown disabled, total amount quote general 100 USDT.
So the agent will enter into long positions when the price is near the support level, kind of like when things
Yeah.
go up. Right?
It will try to go
the other
long
way.
in the support level, but also the EMAs will probably need to mark an uptrend.
Okay. The two indicators here that it's using.
It will use the EMAs and also will detect the support and resistance levels based on the candles. Now, the thing is that now you see that it says approve the design and move to the phase 2 where we are going to build the analysis routine. So I will create the strategy first to get the ID for the routine, then build the analysis script. If we go here, I use PyCharm, so I can drag it here. If you go here, you will see that, let me close this and this. You will see that here in the trading agents, I have this AOT perp scalper that was created. This is a trading agent. I already have the agent.md that, as you can see, says placeholder. It will be updated in phase 3 because the agent builder is working on it. And here is the different things, general. So we can see that the agent folder was already created. As you can see, now it added a folder for routines. So here we have the first routine as R that will be support resistant EMA levels. So here is it created a config. This is the good thing about having the routines. See that if not, the agent will need to write all this code during the runtime. So having these routines will help us a lot doing this. So here you see that you can pass the trading pair, the connector name, the candle count, the look back, and the tolerance for the support and resistance. And he wrote all this code to generate the output.
So just to understand that, so that's a new routine it created. But before in Condor Telegram, you were also running routines. So are there like routines that like ship with Hummingbot?
Yeah. There are like general routines that can be shared by all the agents, and there are routines specific for certain agents. Basically, that's something that you proposed, and I accepted, and I think that is the right way because it's simpler to share. Like I can just share you the agent folder, you can just use it, and it will be very simple. So you see this. I create a strategy. Now let me create the routine. I have a skill for creating the routines that is also in the code that explains how to do it. Then here's the live output. The routine is correct. Do this. Let's see what it's trying to do. The price is correct. The trend, it says bullish. So it says that the trend is going up. Makes sense because of the EMAs. The support is saying 0.33. So will be, is marking 0.3325 is something here. And then this is the first 3% below, and 318. These are the two supports that he identified, and the resistance he identified 36.3, 36.3, and 37. something's 37 like here. So actually, I don't like these support and resistance levels. I would like to pick more like this one. I like for take profit. I would like to have it higher, like somewhere here. But this is what you can like now. Once the routine is run, you can improve. Also, it can generate images, and it can also send you the image through Telegram for the process. So this is something that you can do everything from the chat, but this is the part that you need to work on. It should be doing what you are expecting. Yeah. For the question, we will have the option to run backtesting of the strategy. Yes. I was going to work on backtest this week, but I didn't reach it to that point because I was working on all this infrastructure. But the good thing is that as it's following the same principle as the controllers, this will be easy to backtest. But I think that for backtesting, we will need to have the local models later on, mostly because it will be like better or faster, I would say. And you are not going to waste all your tokens. But yes, this is in the roadmap to be backtestable. It says, I would say I like it, but I like it. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, I would tell. But I would like to use the first support for stop loss and the second resistance for TP. So that will be probably putting that into the agent.md instructions. And then it will be, we'll move to phase 3.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize again that everything we're building here is free and open source. So the reason we can do this is because we're supported by the exchanges and as partners. So every time you use Hummingbot, which for execution under the hood, part of the fees you pay does support the nonprofit foundation. But what that means is we can just give away everything we're building and you can use it. So obviously it's not end to end. So that's why backtesting is going to come in the future. That's why we will try to add that in the future. But right now you can already go to GitHub and then just pull the latest main branch of Condor, which it'll use your Claude code or whatever model you've already set up, and you can already start testing this out. So yeah, so as Fede is demonstrating right now, I think now the agent is actually getting into building the strategy, right? Oh, you're still muted, by the way.
Sorry. This is also really interesting because see that says, let me fetch a strategy creator. Let me fetch the executor schema first. This is really interesting because now he knows what he has to do. Then he knows what executor he will use. Now the point is, okay, what's the scheme of the executor? So when I create it, I don't fail and I know how to configure it properly. So then it will be like actually creating the strategy. So if we go here for this agent.md, we will see that it has the steps, run the analysis, decision logic, whatever we put here in the decision logic. Step 3, execute the trade, require fields for the executor, detect profit, all stuff, risk rules, position monitoring, and the journal. Okay, so now it's suggesting ready for phase 4, dry run. I will start the agent in dry run mode, so analyze the market. I will say yes, run it in dry run. This dry run, as I mentioned before, is one of the modes that will let me simulate what is actually going to do like the agent if it was like invoked for trading. And now I will show you the nicest thing of how we can inspect what the agent is actually doing. This is one of the most important parts, observability, right? So if you go here to Condor dashboard, while this finishes, let me open it a little bit. You will see that here we have a tab that is agents. So in this agents tab, we can see the AOT perp scalper. We have here the default total amount quote, the frequency in seconds, the mode, the risk, all the stuff. The strategy, that is a markdown file that we saw, that you can edit it from here and just save it. In case that you are not in the computer, you can use the UI to edit the markdown file in case that you want. You have the learnings file that is going to be persisted across all the sessions, as you can see here. We'll have the sessions, that is where when once the agent is looping, it will be appearing here. And we have this dry run that actually we have the first output of the dry run that basically is what we were asking to the agent, run it in dry run mode. Are you happy with this run? Decision, no entry, EMAs not aligned, face the directional filter, the agent identify the mixed trend and wait for the strategy rules, no position open. So we can see here in the actual UI, this dry run, we can see the agent response, the price, the trend is mixed, the values of the EMAs, the support and resistance that found, decision weight, no executors were created, dry run. Okay, we can tell it again, run it again.
Fede, just so I understand that table that in the snap, so that was like that came from the routine that it ran.
This agent response is actually coming from the actual agent,
right?
Because it's the output of the final agent. We are not seeing the output of the routine. In the tool calls here, we should see the output of the routine, but for now I didn't add the expand here to see it.
Right.
But we'll probably add it to see it. See, we have now the second experiment, the second dry run, no executors, decision weight, trend is mixed. Well, perfect. Now we are okay with this. We like it. It's time to deploy it live on a loop. Oops, where is it? Let me put it next to, okay. The agent being disciplined, waiting for a clean setup. The market is ranging. And I will say, I'm ready for phase 5. Let's go live with a freak of 1 minute between executions. So the Condor monitoring commands, check the agent, show the journal. The agent is scanning every minute. So if it worked, if it didn't, I will fix it. But if it worked, we should see here the session that says sessions. And I have here the journal MD. So now we have the first session. If we go here to sessions, we have the first session appearing here. Here's where you can, this is what I talk about trading sessions. Each session, we have activity, we have snapshots. In the snapshot, we can see the actual data. We can also see the system prompt. So you can see all the data that was injected into the agent itself and the actual agent response and the tool calls, right? So this will be executing every minute. Right now, seems like the trend is, I think that we need to wait until this line here passes this value, this EMA, passes this EMA, and that will be looking for a long position. Memento says that in the meanwhile, we can answer this, that the organization is working on a market simulator for Hummingbot. Nice. I don't know what is actually that, but nice.
Yeah, overall, Hummingbot is an open source framework. It's modular, so there's different pieces of it. There's core Hummingbot client. There's the API, which this uses, and then Condor itself, the harness, is also open source. But what that allows people in the community to do is build off of Hummingbot. So many organizations will build their own connectors. Memento is building some type of backtester or simulator for Hummingbot. So it's something we encourage people to do. And that's also why we're making the trading agents standard open source, so that you can build your own standards. You can only build your own agents according to the standard. We'll have a place where you can share your agents with each other, and you can hopefully, and also the routines used by these agents as well. One question for you. So is it fair to say that when you did the dry run, it was like these were different? These were like a like they're also sessions, but they were not live. Is that right?
No, it's not a session. It's just like an execution of the one tick without the chance of the agent trading.
Okay.
Like as you can see, no executors were created. It can create executors. It's blocked the executor creation.
Okay, so it's run once. It's run once, but with no execution.
It's run once without execution, exactly.
Okay.
So as you can see here, that we have already 2 ticks. It's probably processing the last tick. And hopefully, it created the first order, guys. See this? And also already the take profit. So this is our first agentic trade live. Hope that we reach the take profit. But if we go here, we should see the last snapshot 3. Trend, flip, bullish, check long conditions, bullish,
nice.
Price within 2% for S1, ratio, all conditions met, opening long, now journaling, 3, all this. And as you can see here, we have the take profit.
Yeah. Nice. Agentic, first agentic trade placed on the Hummingbot pod by an agent. So I added some graphics for that. But one thing I noticed was that you had other trades on your Binance account other than AO2. I think you had some Meteora Met trade going on.
That's another one that I'm holding since yesterday. It's a long position that was created also with a grid executor that I decided to hold. As you can see, it's position hold now.
Yeah, I just want to highlight the fact that the agent though is isolated, right? Can you explain how works?
Based on the, let me see what is because it hit the stop loss. This. So maybe the stop loss was very tight. Let me see the config that he created. Raw config. 3 barrier stop loss. He put like 0.45%. Is very low with this. But well, it's part of what the agent should be like improving. It seems like here hit the stop loss. But well, how is isolated this? As you can see here, here I can see main, and I can see all the grids that I created. This one is the Met one that I decided to hold, and I have the other ones, and I have here the IoT perp scalper. That is the one that the agent is running right now. This because of the design of the executors. Each executor has an owner that you can specify when you create it. So each agent will have knowledge about what's executor created by himself. So it's easier for them to don't share. It has a virtual portfolio and a virtual executors. So in that sense, all the activity is completely isolated, and that's why this can scale, and we can have, let's say, 10 train agents running in parallel without them having troubles understanding what are the actions taken by each agent. So, well, that's basically the reason. I think that's all for today. I don't know.
Can you go to the agent? Yeah, the perp scalper agent. Can you see what it said in the last session? Because I think that's when it applied the stop loss, right? Is that
No entry conditions, wait, trend reverted to mix it, barely below, no directional conditions. So yeah.
Okay, got it. So,
in the next one, we'll probably create a new one. But I want to see these learnings.
Okay, got it. It does see the SL. Yeah, SL set at $1. So basically, it sounds like the agent created the executor, and then executor had. Executor is it's kind of a trade, but with a take profit and stop loss built in, where it's placing additional orders besides the first one. So it hit the stop loss, and so now it's kind of like back in the null state, where it's just waiting for a signal to create an executor. Okay.
Yeah, and also he's understanding that he had a loss here. So probably in the next one, we'll probably increase a little bit the stop loss or not. I don't know. It's part of the learnings that we need to do with this system.
It actually does. Okay, interesting. So it actually does have some learning. So is the agent capable of modifying like the stop loss or the signals based on?
Yeah, obviously. That's the purpose of the learning, and also you can inject information on the learnings. Here I can write. He doesn't know that I was writing it.
Okay. So the learn, when does it use the learnings? Like when is it learnings injected into context at every
Yeah. On every tick, you inject the learnings. You inject the as I mentioned in this Kali draw, the prompt will have the general agent, the specification, the journal, the learnings, the routines available, the tools available, and the active executors. Okay. I think that was a very good session. I hope that the people gets excited about this.
Yeah. So we'll be doing this next week again. So hopefully we can basically just continue to schedule live streaming at 9:00 Pacific, 12 Eastern for those of in the US. I think it's 1:00 or 2:00 it's price starts in late afternoon for those of you in South America and in Europe, and in the late evenings in Asia. Overall, we'll try to do the same time every Friday. And we'll again try to post this. I think we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and on what's the other one? Blanking here. Twitter. That's right. And then and we'll also try to get this format published on other platforms as well. But overall, so what you can expect is every week we'll try to demo something that we're building on at Hummingbot. And because everything that we're building is open source, you can also just go and try it out yourself as well. So we encourage you to work on Hummingbot, to build whatever you want on it. And if you have questions, you can always join our Discord and ask us directly. So once again, we're hosting another cohort of our Botcamp bootcamp for market makers and algo traders starting on April 21st. And if you use the code INFOSESH25, INFOSESH25, you'll get 25% off the cohort 13 price. Again, this is Mike, and Fede and I are the maintainers of Hummingbot, and it's our mission to democratize algo trading using open source.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.